Evening everyone, Ian from DIY Home and Gardening. We are now mid-August, well into tomato season, and I thought actually it's a good opportunity to show you the different varieties that have been grown and maybe do a bit of taste testing on the individual ones. So let me turn the camera around and show you. Before we begin, I thought I'd just show you the extent of what we've grown. They have been going crazy. So we've had a lot, used a lot, and now they are back onto their growth phase. You can probably see there's a difference in terms of how they're growing though, because it's been so hot here. They've changed from having their normal leaf structure and leaf size into putting a lot more of this thin viney type growth on. So that's why I thought it's a good opportunity to do the look around, do the taste, and then I can then think about cutting back some of the excess growth. So down the side we've just walked is the cherries and plum tomatoes. There's a few beefsteaks, and then these are the larger beefsteaks there, which also includes the giant tree, which as you can see are quite a way up, again looking a little bit weather beaten. So we go and start at the beginning. Okay, so we'll start at the beginning. This one, we actually don't know what the variety is. It is a supermarket tomato. So my youngest really liked the fruits last year, so we saved some of the seeds, and that is how they've grown. So they have got to a good size. As yet, none have ripened, so don't know what the flavour is going to be like. Moving on, this one is called Bite Size, and as you can see, it produces these nice full complete vines of tomatoes, nice cherry tomatoes, and nice, neat and compact. Shall I use that? Yeah, probably should. So fairly seedy. Nice sweet tang to it, very good. Good water content. Next up, also a cherry type, so this is called Golden Crown. What I would say is that these smaller ones, I sowed the seed much later than the larger ones, so the seed on these was sown into about May time. So they are a bit more backwards, which is why I've had to leave this video so late. So you can see this Golden Crown is quite a big size. Trying to think what we can compare it to. I guess like a 10 pence piece size diameter. Bear that in mind when we get to one of the other varieties. Just give that. So again, sort of good water content there. Not as sweet, so I suppose actually quite a plain tomato flavour. Probably not the best in terms of cherries. Certainly not as sweet as that last one. So that's Golden Crown. This is the first of the plum tomatoes. So this variety is called Roma. Absolutely love this variety. Try and grow this most years. Aside from last year where blight got them all. So we have used a lot of Roma already in our soups that we've been making, and as you can see, it's a very large tomato, nice and uniform. Every single one is similar sort of sizing and quality, and generally has a very good flavour to it as well.
It's like a plum shape.
Yeah, so it is a plum tomato, so because it's a plum tomato, it tends to be more fleshy rather than seedy. So has again been a plum tomato, a little bit more bitter than sweet, but very well, makes a great passata. So yeah, definitely recommend that one. Put those in there. Right, moving on. So this variety here is called Crimson Crush. Now, the reason I grew this is because, following on from last year where it was a really bad year for blight, Crimson Crush is actually one of the varieties that is very good with blight resistance. Don't tend to grow it normally because, as you can see here, the fruit sizing tends to be somewhat variable, and yeah, I don't think the plants are that robust generally either. They tend to, well, you can see, considering it's blight resistant, it tends to struggle a bit with the heat, but so that is a typical example through the middle. So it's got fairly balanced fleshed seed. All the fruits do tend to have this sort of squashier nature to them though, so they're not the toughest, if you know what I mean. It's got a lovely tang to it though. Nice rich tomato flavour. Very good. Right, next we have San Marino. No, San Marzano, sorry. So I hadn't grown this one before. Thought I would do because it is classed as being, it's a little bit of blossom end right there. We'll ignore that for a moment, but it's classed as being the best plum tomato for making authentic Italian passatas and tomato based products, because as the name would suggest, it is an Italian variety. We used this when we were making our tomato soup as well, so that we had a mixture of this one, Roma and Big Daddy, and as you can see with this, there's hardly any seed to it, so it's a lot of flesh, which is good. It's not as bitter as Roma, but it's not that sweet either, so it has quite good acidity, very tomatoey, very strong tomato flavour. Yeah, very nice.
Everyone wants to try a bit.
You want to try some? My youngest has come, only because he's greedy. He wants to do taste testing. Right, okay. So, I was saying earlier about the other little golden tomato. As you can see, that is a very small golden tomato. That's sun gold, and you can see that it produces good clusters of fruit. Also, you can see how many have been eaten. Because they're so small, they don't really make it to the dinner table. They're more like picking sweets, really, because they are that sweet, full of juice and loads of seed, but that's the bit that makes them sweet. Now, amazing that it almost feels a bit pointless having tomatoes that at that size. I mean, great in a salad because you can literally just scatter them over the top of the bowl. So then this one here, it's a bit of an interesting one. Let me pull the label out on this. So the one at the back, which are these fruits there, which is none ripe at the moment to show you. It's a variety that I got given, which is a grafted variety, and it's called Cherry Goldwin. And you can see, I'll pull probably the ripest one up. Oh. So you can see that is the size there. Now, when I was doing my potting up video, I was moving it, and a bit of a schoolboy error, but I was dragging it by the top and snapped the top out. So what I did was I used the top as a piece of cutting material, and that actually is what this plant is. So this plant is Cherry Goldwin, but it's not grafted. And so I'm going to pull one of these ones off. Same variety, grafted plant, not grafted plant. So hopefully, don't know, see what the flavour is like. We can see that there's a difference in coloration. We know that's not quite ripe as yet. Quite sharp. Yeah, that is very sharp, that one. And this is it's a much smoother, sweeter flavour to it. Not sure which I prefer actually. Probably the combination of the two would work really well. But I say these ones, just very small, you know, probably 70% of the size of the other one. So very interesting actually. Right, on to the next. So these again were later sown. This one is black opal. Again, reason for getting this one is one, because it's a vining type. I know all tomatoes are vining type, but black opal is a high yielding vining type. Has an element of resistance to blight, but also thought it'd be quite nice to have something of a little bit different coloration. Not had any that were ripe before, but look at that. I mean, it looks quite pulpy, so I have to see what that's like.
Do you want to try that one, Raven?
In actual fact, I'll try another one. I don't think it's the... Here we are, Ruben, you try one of those. I don't think it's the best taste actually. It's definitely got a zing to it, but it's not the nicest actually. It's quite fleshy, quite pulpy. A zing, but without that tomato flavour that you'd actually want. So we progress on. Now this one here, let me find the label. It is called Giganto Tomato, or Giganto Tomo. There we are. We won't be taste testing that one. And the reason being is that these are seeds that my youngest one, who's been doing the taste testing, Ruben, they're the seeds that he wanted. So I would love to say that he's grown the plants, but he hasn't. I've grown the plants. We wanted to see how big a fruit could get. So to start with, because this currently holds the world record for largest fruits, so began with stripping off the rest of the fruits, which is why you can see there's not a lot on here. But on the very top, it has produced another truss, which has probably detracted from size of that. As you can see, it's a large tomato, but I think realistically, there's some more within there, so they are of good size. But I think realistically, the only way you will get a tomato of proper record sizing, so like when we're talking a 1 kilo size fruit, is to literally grow one fruit onto the plant. But so he wanted to grow this tomato, and it has got a good size to it. It's got a lovely shape, but unless he says we can try it, we won't be having a look at that, unfortunately. Maybe another day. Well, let's see. Just pause it a moment. Right, okay, so Ruben is actually stood behind the camera. He's given the go ahead, so we'll take that off. You can see it's a good size. Just try and take the top out. So nice solid tomato. And you got to remember this is what's classed as a beefsteak type. So it is more flesh than seed, and there we are. You always have this sort of firm middle to it. So let's just cut this up. There we are. You can be the first to try it. Is it good? Yeah, his thumbs up. Oh, it has got good flavour to it. Nice and juicy, nice and sweet. I guess your typical beefsteak tomato, not bland like a normal, shop bought beefsteak. Has still got a tang to it, but not a full-on rich tomato taste that you get with the smaller ones. So let's just pop that into the bowl. Have a look at the others. Actually, that is really nice. Second bite is much nicer. Oh, pop that there. Okay. Still on to beefsteak types. So this one is Super Marmot. Always grow this variety, and we have had absolutely loads of fruit from this. Again, it's a nice continental tomato, and the owner of my previous garden centre I worked at used to swear by them, and then that's why I started growing them, because the flavour is just so good. Let's cut it this way. There we are. So that's what it looks like. Nice balance between the seed and the flesh. It is less firm than the last one that we tried. Do you want to try some? Very nice though. As more a passata or like a tomato puree type flavouring to it, so very rich.
Would you have it with like mozzarella and basil?
Yeah, definitely. Nice caprese. We could eat.
Bit squishy for you.
Bit squishy, but you could eat that all day long, possibly. Right. I don't know whether there'd be any of these that are ripe enough. There's a little baby one on here. They're different ones. We'll come to those in a minute. So that's a baby one. These ones, the vine got broken, so they have dried a little bit, but we'll cut it. First thing to notice with these is that, I'll swip that off, they're irregular in shape, and they are pink, not red. So try this one. So it is, these have come from the tree or giant's tree tomato plant, which is those there. which they will get up to about 14 feet, although as these are in containers, they're only, well, I say only, they're about 9.5 feet at the moment. But you can see with these, they do put on a lot of fruit with some good weight to them, and we have already used a lot. But let's cut that and try that for you. So good, really sweet. Not really tomatoey at all. Very rich flavour, very good. Well, let's pop those in there. There's a nice acidic taste to it as well. So last one, and this one is called Big Daddy. I've sold it for a number of years, never actually grown it, but let's try grab one out. And the nice thing with this is that they're all pretty uniform in size. There you can see that they're all fairly similar in size. Produces these nice strong plants that are actually capable of supporting fruit of this size. Another beefsteak. And the reason to grow these good beefsteaks is that actually they're very versatile. So they're very well suited for cooking with, whereas the smaller cherry types, great in a salad, but not a lot else. A lot more fleshy than some of the other ones. Not as acidic in flavour. Probably more bland than certainly Super Marmot, but it is nice. The only thing that is probably the downside with it is that the outer skin tends to be a little bit tougher, which is fine when we're using it in the soup because it's all blended up. But for having with you know, in a salad as a raw tomato, the skin probably is a little bit tough. But here we are. But it is nice. So, bit of taste testing. I have no idea how many tomatoes we've got. I think last count was probably about 75 plants. Apparently that's too many, but we shall see. Next year I won't be growing some of these, but have already bought some seeds for some different ones. So going to try some of the shorter patio types and the hanging basket types, see how they compare. But yeah, for the time being, that is the taste testing done and showing you what to have been growing. So hopefully inspire you to try a few different varieties for next year and see what you think. As always, hope you've enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, then please send them to me. Always do my best to answer them for you. If you do like what I'm doing, then please subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that reminder button so you don't miss out on the future videos that I'm doing. And in the meantime, just enjoy your gardening and what you're doing. Till next time, bye for now.